order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and the boards of the Knoxville Opera Guild, friends, family. Welcome to our live stream people. Thank you for your patience. We're running a little behind. So although that wonderful performance was called our entertainment, it was so much more. Thank you, Brian, and to Jackie and to Aubrey for reminding us of why we are here. We are here because of Knoxville Opera, for what our artists do. And so thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful performance. Thank you. I also want to thank Ken Knight and the Crowne Plaza for outdoing themselves for this wonderful buffet that we've all enjoyed. So thank you so much. So truly, it has been a great honor to serve as your board chair. I want to thank you. And I want to take a moment to thank all the people who have led this organization before me. Their wonderful leadership made it possible for me to have this opportunity. So those that have served as chair before me who are present, would you please stand? I know there's several here. Thank you. Thank you so much. So earlier in the year, I was looking for a list of past presidents to form a group that I wanted to call the President's Circle. And I asked Marie, because everybody knows that Marie knows everything. And she told me that there were some plaques with names of past chairs, formerly called presidents, and which she located and gave to me. And they were a little out of date. They're right here. Beautiful. So they were a little out of date. Jackie Wilson's name actually was the last person on here, engraved in 2004. So when I located the list of chairs, I updated it, and we will find a special place in the opera to properly recognize all of you. So thank you so much. Yeah. I would also like to take a moment to recognize all current and former board members. If you are a current or former board member, would you please stand? I want to thank you for your service and for your support. Wow. So what a year it's been, right? Chairing an organization through a leadership transition during a world pandemic. It's not what I had planned on. It was a challenging year, but also a great opportunity to reflect and especially to learn. So what have I learned? I've learned that I don't have to wash my hair every day. But seriously, I have learned, and I think many of us have, to reevaluate our priorities and what is important to us. Our family, our friends, our community, and the arts. Where did people turn for comfort over the past year? Art, all art forms, but especially the performing arts, to entertain, to comfort, and to connect. From Netflix and Disney Plus to opera houses, large and small, streaming productions for free. Look at TikTok. Who could have predicted TikTok? Apparently some of y'all don't have teenagers in your house. Well, and I know Jason will talk in depth about this, but as an opera company, what have we learned? We have learned that we have strong support. Jason started this job with an approved deficit budget, and thanks to your support, that is not the way it turned out. We have learned new ways to serve our community, hopefully even better ways. We've learned that opera does not have to be in an opera house. Though we will return to our stages, we have learned how fun, how accessible, and how flexible opera can be. This year, we really emphasized the Knoxville in Knoxville Opera. And once we figured it out, and our artists and our staff, especially Brian, have worked really hard to get opera into every corner of the community, even the Tennessee River. So many, many thanks for all that you all did to get opera out there this year. So thank you again for this wonderful opportunity to serve an organization that I love. As a past president of the Guild, I know that we have great volunteers. We could not do anything without you. And to make her presentation, I would like to introduce Guild Board President Julia Mullaney.
Eden, thank you, and thank you for everything that you've done. It's my pleasure tonight to award the Happy Booker Award. The Happy Booker Volunteer Spirit Award recognizes a member of the Guild who has exhibited extraordinary service in furthering the goals of the Guild and in support of Knoxville Opera. The 2021 recipient of the Happy Booker Award is Catherine Braunstein. Catherine passed away unexpectedly earlier this year, to our shock and dismay. In her obituary, Catherine was described as an indefatigable woman with panache. She answered every call for help, whether it was stuffing envelopes, gathering auction items, or anything else the Guild or Opera needed. She was also key in organizing the events associated with the Met Opera Council auditions. She never asked for any recognition and somehow was never awarded the Happy Booker Award previously. Not only do we offer this award to her memory, but also to all the unsung heroes of the Knoxville Opera Guild. So, to Catherine. We miss her terribly. It's also my pleasure tonight to announce the slate of officers for the Knoxville Opera Guild. So this year, returning as treasurer, and who has been treasurer since I can remember, Teresa Stone. Teresa, can you stand up? I know you're right there. Teresa. Returning as secretary is Robin Guild. And Robin, I see you back there. Our vice president this year will be Jan Simpson, who's sitting right next to Robin. And our incoming president is Michael Call. So please join me in a warm welcome for our 21-22 KO officers. And with that, Michael, the gavel is yours.
All right. It's awfully heavy. It's a heavy burden. Thank you, Julia, and also thank you for all of the hard work and the indefatigable support that you gave to the Guild last year. It was a really challenging year, and you kept us shipshape and moving in the right direction. And so pleased to be part of the Guild coming up for this season, where we're actually getting to come out of such a challenging time back into what we hope will be a lot more activities like we're used to seeing. As you know, the Guild, our purpose is to provide entertainment and educational experiences for people, bringing opera and the love of opera and support, not only building community, but building financial support for the opera company. And so we're really pleased to be a part of that mission, the greater mission of the Knoxville Opera Company. So that being said, we're looking forward to picking things back up where we left off about a year and a half ago. We have events planned, starting with our Guild membership event, which will be in the fall. And if you haven't already joined the Guild, I hope you will consider joining the Guild. We have individual, family, and also now corporate memberships. And so that's a really exciting way to introduce the season through the Guild activities. And we'll have other things like we're used to having, VIP experiences. We'll have opera up close, and as Julia says, but not too close. So we'll have those experiences as well. We look forward to returning to the croquet fields for the croquet tournament, and also maybe a martini party down the road. But what we'd like to announce this evening is an event that we are locked into and ready to go with, and that is our fundraising ball. And we have chosen the Phoenix Ball as a way of rising out of the COVID ashes and moving forward into greater and greater heights. And we're honored to have Allison Easterday Alexander and PJ Alexander as our honorary co-chairs for the event. And they're back in the Towards the back there, if you'll stand. So we're looking forward to a great season, a great way of kicking things off, and providing our support as we always do, and our love for opera in Knoxville and the surrounding areas, and Knoxville Opera. So thank you very much. I'd like to turn it back over to Eden.
All right, thank you. At this time, I would like to announce your slate of officers and committee chairs for the Knoxville Opera Board. We have Chair Frank Rosamond. Vice Chair Allison Easterday. Stand please, Allison. Secretary Julia Mullaney. Against her will. Treasurer Robert Baird, back in the back. Our committee chairs will be for development, Natalie Dowling. Finance is our treasurer, again, Robert Baird. Marketing and public relations, WATE's own Kim Bird. And education outreach will be co-chaired by Walter Mincer and Jeannie Turner Melton. I would also like to introduce new and returning board members to you tonight. I believe Kevin Burdett is streaming, so everybody say hi to Kevin. Kevin Burdett. Haley Chastain, you're here, Haley, right? Yay. Jennifer D'Agostino. Returning member Natalie Dowling. Michael Cole as the Knoxville Opera Guild president. Returning member Robert Marquis. And new member Angela Massini. And unfortunately, people do have to leave the board. And so I want to say farewell and thank you to Heather Martin, our former treasurer. Julia Whipple. Karen Nidifer, Karen's here. Mwah. Dr. James Gorney. And Trey Coleman. All right, and now, if I could get the right gavel, I will hand the gavel over to you, my friend, Frank Rosamond, Sr.
All right, so I'm not one for long speeches, so we'll just keep this pretty quick. Bottom line is I'm honored to have been asked to chair during, a organizational change. Very excited about the opportunities both in the next year and beyond. Have gotten to know Jason pretty well, know Brian very well, and just like I said, humbled and honored to be here and help you guys out. So with that, I'm going to ask Brian to come on up to the podium and tell us a little bit artistically what we've covered and where we're going. And we will take it from there. And I'll continue talking as he walks the long and entire, because I probably should have thrown a rock or something earlier. But as he comes up, my friend, Maestro Brian Celeski.
Thank you, Frank. I'll be very quick, which I'm not known for being. I just want to make sure that we all acknowledge the miracle of the last 12 months. People like Jackie and Aubrey are shining examples of the generosity that our artists have bestowed upon our company during my entire 16 years here. There is no Knoxville Opera without the artists, and every day in every way, they make this all possible. I can write things down on pieces of paper, but I can't sing them and I can't act them. They make it all happen, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to be in company with them. This year, the piece of paper in front of you, you'll see the 102 programs that we did this year. 30 artists made that happen. 30 artists. Yes, I may have been at the keyboard and I've been talking my ears, sore, but it's 30 artists who made this happen. And so can't do it without them. We were in 63 venues this year. That's organizations and physical venues, 63. 8 current and former UT students were given 72 performing opportunities this year. That's in addition to the 50 that were canceled because of COVID. We had 10 visiting guest artists with us, 9 of whom had performed leading roles with our company before. And some of you have seen them either live or on the streams or the recording stuff. And I just want to mention them because we're so grateful that most of them got into their cars and drove many, many miles to be here. Donata Cucinota, Sean Anderson, Kirk Doherty, Aaron Short, Brittany Renee, Rochelle Bard, Scott Bearden, Brandon Hendrickson, Norman Schenkel, who was supposed to be in our Barbara Seville that got canceled, and Maria Clark. We performed for 3,000 kids and 18,000 adults this year. I could never have imagined that, of course, with the help of the, how do I say it, Esther? Online. Is that the right word, Frank? Online?
Why not?
Why not?
The interweb.
The interweb, that thing out there, thanks to that. But a lot of people were at our live performances as well. Next season, we will continue to strive to serve our community in a similar way. It'll be a different set of challenges. The past 12 months, we were filling a void. Next 12 months, everybody is going to be on the front line to serve. And so it'll be more challenging for us to serve. But I think what we'll be able to do is find additional venues in which to find a voice to contribute to our community. And that's what we should be doing, always searching for new opportunities. We'll be producing Boitos Mephistopheles in March. That is an opera we did in 2015. It was a rather spectacular production. It's a very difficult opera to pull off, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. And I think the cast has just about aligned themselves. I can't announce the cast, but I'm 2 inches close to being able to do that. And I'm very excited about the people who will be coming to perform with us. And then in the April slot, we won't be doing a staged opera, but we'll be doing like a Puccini festival in front of the Rossini festival. So we got a lot of Enis going on. So I'm looking forward to a kind of gala concert where we will do at least one piece from all 12 Puccini operas in one night. And then I'm also going to try to do what I call the unknown Puccini, a lot of his music that is unknown to people, that is not theatrical music. We'll do all of that music at another venue. And then I also like to do his religious works as well. And so I'm trying to line all of that up within a 7 or 8 day period so we can all be Ing together in front of the Rossini Festival. So that's what I've got on my mind, it's been an incredible time these past months. Thank you for those of you who have come live and those of you who have checked in with us online. That thing. I also want to let you know, my colleague over here made his debut with Knoxville Opera in the marathon. Frank did an amazing job. He was in 4 segments, and with his son, where are you? There you are, front row. Frank Sr., Frank Jr. Both Franks made their debuts with us at the marathon, and that was a great delight to me, and that was I don't know what it was for you, Frank.
Yeah. That's what I was going to go.
It was a steroid shot for Frank, is what it was. That's how we got to the finish line. But what a thrill it was for me to be able to collaborate with Frank and Frank. I had seen them in the Fantastics downtown a few years ago, and I just knew we had to do something together. So I appreciate you guys working with me on that. And especially You Got Trouble right here in River City. It was fantastic. So thank you again for the opportunities that the company provides to me in order to serve our community. That's the number one thing. That's why we're here. It's why we do what we do. And I'll see you on the road to the Tennessee Theater. God willing, we'll be back, right? Thank you.
So I want to thank Brian. I want to thank everybody on the board, Eden, everyone that I've gotten to know really well over the last year or so. While I've been on the board for a number of years, hadn't gotten involved to this level. And what I can tell you is every person in here, as you guys all know better than I do, are just so passionate about the arts and what the arts do for this community, and that communities with strong arts are just better at every level. And we couldn't do that whether it's without, you know, my like I said, my old friend, Brian, or my new friend, Jason, who Jason and I have gotten to know each other over the last year. And I'm very excited about some of the things that he's got on the horizon. And with that, we'll introduce him to share a little bit with you of what that looks like.
Thank you, Frank. All right, can you hear me okay? I have to put the projection on. Thank you all for being here this evening. Your attendance is a clear indication that you care for this company, and I look forward to getting to know each of you in the years to come. Now that my family has officially begun this new chapter in our lives, I'm looking forward to so many things, to building relationships, to tailgates and sporting events and concerts and museums, and of course, adding much more orange to my wardrobe. So I have my first here as a pocket square, so I have a feeling that's going to happen. I feel so blessed by this opportunity to join Knoxville Opera, especially at this time in our history. I'd like to begin with a quick overview of our activities, including the surprising successes we've had in what has obviously been a very challenging year. We've begun work on updating KO's mission, vision, and values. We've adopted new financial controls and policies. We've made some revisions to HR policies. We've implemented a huge ticketing and donor platform that has already begun to make a tremendous impact on our day-to-day operations. And I hope you're all starting to see, even without performances and us doing tickets, that our interaction with you is becoming much more streamlined and efficient. And thank you for our staff who's helping implement that. We've expanded our social media presence. We've updated our website. Check it out, knoxvilleopera.com. We have new tools for our email platforms, marketing efforts, etc. We're also working to operationalize our equity, diversity, and inclusion within all of our programs and policies. Thanks to Zoom, I've been able to begin building relationships with over 150 stakeholders. Now, if we haven't met yet, let's set something up. I'm going to be here July 1, so we can start then. I'd like to speak a little bit about our fundraising and stewardship efforts. We've mailed 372 personalized donation acknowledgement letters, most within 24 to 48 hours. I've been assisted by several members of the board and guild to send 557 personal cards and letters to our various supporters. We've retained gifts from 177 donors. That means households that gave last year in fiscal 20 that renewed their support this year. And I will note that 95 out of those 177 people, that is 54% for those counting, increased their giving this year. So yay on that. We have recovered 73 lapsed donors. So these are households that gave in previous years, but for whatever reason, not last year. But we brought 73 of them back this year. We've received $59,463 to be precise in donations from 131 first-time donors. So in a COVID year, remarkable, absolutely remarkable. So I'll note that our fundraising goals were modest this year for obvious reasons, but nonetheless, it's a remarkable success that we have exceeded our fundraising goal this year by 46%, by almost 50%. And yeah, it's that level of support is nearly in line with previous seasons that included opera performances and guild events and not COVID. So that really is, and I should note two things as well, that these results do not include government relief programs, et cetera, PPP and the others. And also, while we've had fundraising success, that is also without support from some of our key corporate and foundation donors. So as their giving priorities have shifted, we're going to be working very hard and pay close attention to how we might renew those very important relationships. So there's a lot of work to be done. But once the fiscal year is complete, next week, we are going to create an annual report that will be available for public view with all these important data points and more. So as I began thinking and contemplating about, all right, a state of the opera address, I began by asking myself this question. If I were standing in this spot 1 year ago, what would I have said? We had canceled all of our performances, canceled the Rossini Festival. Our world was spiraling because of the pandemic, the sickness, the deaths, the shutdowns, the separation. The primary theme of that talk would be, I can't breathe. With that statement, what first comes to mind is obviously George Floyd. Last June was a tipping point in our society and has given rise to a new and necessary civil rights movement. It required each of us as individuals and as institutions to engage in honest self-reflection in order to oppose racism, advocate for equality, and promote racial tolerance. I can't breathe. With COVID, our breath, which is what makes singing possible, our breath, our very life force, became a danger to us and to those around us. This year has been defined by masks and separation. We had to turn to our devices to get our work done, for entertainment, and most importantly, to stay connected to those we love. Over the past year, we've felt that collective hunger for art and communal experiences, but you can't, frankly, truly feed those needs with a click of a mouse. So 1 year ago, we were asking ourselves, when will we return to the theater? What are we going to do in the meantime? The financial prospects, as Eden mentioned, were really grim. Our season planning had projected a $250,000 deficit. So that was my very first day on the job. So if I'd written down my 5 biggest wishes for our COVID season 1 year ago, it would have looked something like this. Number 1, a vaccine. Well, through the miracle of modern medicine, we have them. Number 2, continued generosity from our supporters. As I indicated just a few moments ago, this community has been remarkably responsive and supportive. Number 3, I like to call the alphabet soup of government support. Programs like PPP, SERG, NEA Cares, ERTC, SVOG, these all mean something, but they're sources that have tremendously helped small businesses and nonprofits such as Knoxville Opera. Number 4 would have been a wish that KO would present live free performances to 45,000 households across more than 100 Knox Opera for All events, our streamed performances, and our televised PBS special. Thanks to the tireless work of Maestro Celeski, we did all of that. And finally, number 5, avoid a budget deficit. We did that too. So these 5 wishes came true, and we're very thankful for that. But of course, we were disappointed that we didn't get to produce any theatrical productions. But we are also keenly aware of the bigger realities. I mean, there was a fear of sickness and a heightened sense of vulnerability. We saw the rise of this new civil rights movement. And lastly, not only did the virus separate us, but so did our politics. So as I stand here today, the theme of today's talk would be the next normal. We've seen explosive creativity over the past year, all over the world, and I'm proud to say right here in Knoxville. As I look out and I see Maestro Celeski, James Marvel from UT Opera, Catherine Frady from Marble City Opera, I think it is worth pointing out that the most essential element of opera, the singing voice, has been a consistent beacon of light and hope in Knoxville throughout the pandemic. And I'd like to take a moment to brag about my new city, because at a time when the easiest thing to do is remain silent and wait it out, our staff and our artists have put in a heroic effort to bring performances, as we said, to every corner of our city. You'd be hard-pressed, in fact, to find any city, I challenge you to this, find any city in this entire country that has had a comparable number of live and streamed performances than our local opera companies. So please join me in acknowledging these artistic leaders, as well as our dedicated staff, board members, volunteers, all of whom have collectively made this possible. Bravi. It's difficult to predict, obviously, what lies ahead. But as we look to the canvas of the years ahead, I invite you to be part of the conversation as Knoxville Opera examines our priorities, reimagines who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So we're absolutely thrilled to be back at the Tennessee Theater, which will have been 2 years since we will have been in that theater. 2 years. Achieving performance excellence has always been a worthy goal of an opera company, but artistic excellence simply is not enough when our communities are in desperate need of healing, of unity, of equity, justice, empathy, reconciliation. So our return to the theater will also be accompanied by an effort to help our community connect with one another, recover from the isolation and division that has characterized the past year. The wave of government relief, and in addition to our 501c3 nonprofit status, it comes with an obligation, and people will hear me say this all the time, it comes with an obligation to serve the public good. That's what makes us a nonprofit. So that's taxpayer money. And if I'm honest, it's not simply made available for us to preserve opera for opera lovers. Opera is a powerful tool. Because we're a nonprofit, because we receive, we must give back. And we can use the tools of opera to do just that. As creators and collaborators and storytellers, we can lift up our community without borders into full civic participation. It's a privilege that we can make Knoxville a better place to live. We can enhance the cultural vitality of our community with activities such as Knox Opera for All. We can create a sense of belonging through a culture of inclusivity and a commitment to accessibility. In addition to the classic opera masterpieces, we will commit to presenting accessible new works to tell relevant stories that have been underrepresented on our stages. During a recent fundraiser, I talked a little bit about this opera called The Falling and the Rising. It's a new American opera based on interviews with soldiers at Walter Reed Memorial Hospital. And this opera not only gives us a small glimpse of these soldiers' lives, but it tells their story in their own words. And what is particularly striking about this opera is there's also a military chorus, which is comprised of all local, both retired and active personnel from all the branches of the military. And it's this type of co-creation, these storytellers being woven into the story and engaging your community in that co-creative process. This is the type of thing that you can do with new works that helps us discover new heroes and understand and give voice to these stories. So we look forward to having all the full rehearsals again with our artists, our chorus, the production teams, the Knoxville Opera Gospel Choir, which, by the way, I've had the privilege of coordinating these monthly Zoom meetings with the Gospel Choir. And since the pandemic began, which was a great way to help them feel connected with one another, we would discuss and offer prayer to those in our community who are really suffering, and to discuss plans for their returns to rehearsal, which will hopefully happen this summer and we can get started. And I'm very excited to see the Knoxville Opera Goes Back to Church program. So, when we get that on the books, we'll certainly let you know. Talking about the university, our future work with the university, particularly the UT Opera Studio, offers a lot of possibilities for investment and growth, and how we can help these graduate students prepare to be compelling, not only professional artists, but professional citizen artists. Because again, the obligation of artists to be your ambassadors is a very real thing, and teaching these singers to do just that. Another thing I'd like to tell you about is I'm delighted to announce that Knoxville Opera next year will have its first Director of Education and Community Engagement, and she'll be the brilliant Professor Lanika Batiste. If you know her at all, she's going to be just a gem part of our team. This coming year, Lanika is going to help us create the first neighborhood choir after-school program. So this is a really exciting joint venture between Knoxville Opera, the University of Tennessee Music Education Department, and Sarah Moore Green Elementary School. So the basic premise behind the neighborhood choir program is basically that rather than requiring parents bring their kids to their choir rehearsals, the concept of this is to bring the choir to the child where they are in their space and in their place. And what makes this program so unique and special is we will actually have students from the University of Tennessee studying music education get firsthand experience in teaching music to these children and caring mentorship of these kids. So I'm really excited about the potential that this might have. And I envision, down the road that we have neighborhood choirs in every corner of our city. And perhaps at the end of the year, dream with me a little bit, that we'd have this opportunity to bring all of them together on one big stage, and perhaps a beautiful theater that some of these children and their families may never have seen or experienced before. And gathering them together for collective performance with real life opera singers and the opera chorus, the gospel choir, and, taking pride in performing on a big stage in front of their family and their friends and neighbors from communities all across the city. Now, I say all of these things just because these are just a couple examples of many ways that Knoxville Opera can play its part by being an engine of civic pride in a way that brings all of us together with smiling faces. And it's also an example of the transformative, connective power of the human voice. And so I'll conclude, I've gone on long enough, but I'll conclude simply by saying that I'm absolutely humbled by the support I've seen from this community so far, from my new hometown. And we're going to need all of you to weather the storm that lies ahead. We don't know what's coming, and it's going to be challenging, but we've certainly proven that we can persevere. And I sincerely hope that you will advocate and support all the arts in Knoxville, because they are the lifeblood of our civic life. So with that, be well, be good, be kind, and God bless. Thank you.
All right. So before we finish up, a couple of things I'd like to do. If we could please ask everyone on the Guild board to please stand and be recognized. I apologize that we missed that before. And then lastly, I would also like to thank everybody on the KO staff, Don, Marie, Esther, Brian, Jason, for putting all this together. And then wanted to lastly thank Eden for the last year. She and I have spent a lot of time talking, getting to know each other, and appreciate everything that she's had to go through over the last couple of years. Trey as well. Just thank you guys for everything you've put in place. And we will do our best to keep that going as we go forward. And you'll be proud. The new budget is in the black. So, we'll be good there. That being said, thank you for the smattering of applause. Very polite. But with that, thank you guys so much for coming. Once again, we could not do this without you. We appreciate you. And with that, meeting adjourned.